Hi, Chris.
Hey Heather, nice to
You
see
look,
you
you
after
too.
all the preparation.
You're looking a little less shaggy than the last time I passed you.
Absolutely, that's right, that's right. I managed to talk my daughter into giving me a haircut. That was a bit of
Nice.
dating and
Yeah,
bartering.
we all need one, so we're all in that same boat. I'm just letting it do whatever. So I wanted to talk to you because I think your story is fascinating, and this is all about tips for wellness and coping during this COVID-19 period. And you started studying architecture and meditation at the same time. Is that correct?
Really, yes. It was. I went off to university my very first week. I got there the very first day you could sign into residence or something, and I started. I looked. So there was yoga classes, and I immediately signed up, and I've been doing it a little bit at home during high school, and having a book and so on. Um, but immediately started doing it twice a day. And then my yoga teacher who was teaching hatha yoga, said, "Oh, my teacher's coming to town. He's a monk. He teaches meditation. Would you like to try?" Yes, sign me up. And I did it, and wow, and I received this diksha, this transmission, and it was heart blowing. I mean, mind blowing. It was like he said, "Oh, you got a personal mantra, and it means love." And I think, "Whoa, my personal mantra means love? That's incredible." And
It
I'm,
is.
you
I
know,
thought you got into meditation to help balance out the strenuous studies of architecture, but it doesn't. It sounds like it was
no,
super
no,
serendipitous.
no. I was sort of a, spacey sort of a guy in architecture, tried to, put my feet on the ground a bit.
Oh, that's so
And
interesting.
but the two worked in parallel. Um, I went to architecture school and couldn't think of anything else to do. I mean, I might have studied Eastern religions or philosophy if I flunked out of architecture school, but somehow managed to keep going. Got through it all and said, "Well, might as well be an architect, I guess." So, you know, I did.
And won all sorts of awards, and you do all sorts
Well,
of.
that took pay my dues for 15 or 20 years before I did all that stuff. But at a certain point, I realized that creativity and intuition, were a natural outcome of doing meditation. I remember, having this realization that I was walked out to see this project, renovate a house for some people or something like that. And then I came back, and that night I was sitting meditating, and suddenly the whole, sort of finished project popped in my mind, and I was walking through and looking at it. It sort of came in a flow.
Wow.
And yeah, and so, you know, and I discovered that not thinking about something too much, but letting the intuitive mind and the subconscious mind get busy and coming up with answers, it's a good way to deal with life's problems. And another name for meditation is intuitional practice,
Hmm.
because to fathom subtle ideas like the transpersonal, the divine, love, these are all very subtle ideas that our rational mind doesn't always compute, and they're things that we perceive intuitively. So developing your intuitive side and this sort of insight and so on is something which emerges from meditation.
Yeah, and it's so important, right? Because if we only listen to our gut, that part of ourselves that knows, we'd be so much better off. But so many times we distrust it, or we go for another opinion, and it's
Oh,
it's dead on, right?
oh, so often, yes, yes. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And people, even back when I was a teenager, I remember so almost like a voice speaking to me internally, um, and it's this higher part of ourself, higher functioning part of the mind. And I always say, that, Western psychology and Freud and so on think of the human mind as sort of a cesspit. The further down you get, the darker and dirtier, messier it is. Where, Eastern psychology and Jung and all these folks, so you think of the mind as a series of layers, and the deeper you go, the more expansive it is, and the more connected you are to something beyond yourself, the transpersonal, you know.
What I really like about the way you do meditation is that you give various tools. So it's not just silent meditation. I mean, I'm lousy at all of them, and I know that's a thing that most people are, and it's a practice, and you have to keep going. But the way you do it gives people so many different avenues, because I'm sure silent meditation isn't for everyone, or walking meditation isn't for everyone, or.
No, no, it's not. And within the yogic tradition, which I learn and which I teach, you know, we have so many different tools to use. You know, first of all, preparing the mind with yoga posture, asanas, breathing techniques, you know, to calm the mind. And then in the act of sitting itself, to to learn to consciously bring the mind internally through visualization, to focus the attention in particular ways, to use mantra in rhythm with breath, precede this all with some chanting. All these things help really bring the mind to a calm and restful place. And so to just sit down and say, all right, be calm, be quiet, get in the zone, it's difficult, you know. So so during my classes, for instance, you know, we do a little bit of movement, do some breath work, do a little bit of chanting or just listening to it, and then using the visualizations, going to a place where the mind has become calm, the breath has become deep and long, and with some guidance and instruction, people are finding themselves flowing into this very nice place. Now, I also teach people individually, and the idea there is to give them that same transmission, that sort of flow of energy and love that comes through the whole lineage in the Diksha, and then to take have a mantra, take it home with a set of practices, and do your own practice at home, you know. But people always need support to do that. You know, we need to have a group to go to meditate together and get encouragement and the group energy, you know, it's all part of it.
Absolutely. I want to touch on mantras for a moment, because I think they're really important. And you know, there's a whole movement about affirmations now, and I liken mantras to affirmations, except they're more beautiful in a different language.
Great, very special language.
But it's the messages we're sending ourselves, right? Instead of, oh, you're stupid, oh, you messed up again, oh, all these little things that we say to ourselves, it's saying something that's positive and replacing those other negative thoughts.
Right, that's right. That's right. Well, it's interesting, when TM first became popular, they said, oh, repeat these Sanskrit syllables, but they don't really have a meaning. Well, that was a bit wrong, because all Sanskrit has a meaning. Sanskrit is a language that's actually derived from the subtle vibrations found in the subtle energy body of the human being, or they symbolize those anyway. And all the alphabet refers to particular propensities that are expressed through the different chakras. But you know, every mantra does have a meaning, you know, whether it means love, or it means I am one with the divine, or, you know, this being is love, or, you know, there's all different subtleties around this based on, and the mantras are given based on the sort of personality types and expressions and the energy of individuals. So when you're doing meditation in this manner, there's the presence of breath. You're following the flow of your breath, which is a very fundamental thing in meditation. It becomes a focal point. You have the sound of the mantra in Sanskrit, which is resonating inside your mind and affecting you in all different sorts of levels. And you have the meaning of it, which you are also intuitively holding in your awareness. So you're doing all three of these levels of things at the same time. And who knows, maybe there's a whole choir of, you know, light beings around you singing along or chanting along, you know. So, and certainly sometimes it feels like that occasionally.
I've been in,
And, pardon?
I've been in yoga classes where, we'll chant Om, and depending on the instructor and the energy of the group, it can be so incredibly powerful.
Very.
It makes me feel so good physically and emotionally.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
That's right. So the power of sound, they say actually internal sound is even more subtle than external sound. But we all know it. If we've gone to these sort of chanting occasions and so on, and just chanting Om in a class or going to a kirtan, they have a wonderful effect. Help us move out of the thinking mind into the heart, and very powerful. In fact, really one of there's a number of things you can do to prepare yourself when you sit down to meditate. I mean, doing it at the same time every day, same place. If you've got a nice place to meditate, that's wonderful. You build a rhythm. Having a shower first, or at least splashing yourself with cool water and cooling your body down a little bit, very helpful. And then doing a bit of chanting, get your into your heart space a little bit, out of the mind. The music, any sort of singing is good for that, but chanting's really nice. So all of these things are present. All of these practices and tools and helpful things help establish you in a meditation practice.
And when you teach, you're doing all those things within the space of 1 hour. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
Well, we don't shower up, but I'm hoping.
I mean, the mantras and the different types of
Doing
meditation
the
and the
mantras,
yoga
the
stretches.
breathing, the visualization, some stretching, all that stuff. Because to me, you got to use everything together. I mean, I can tell you, sometimes I come to the class and I think, and I sit down and I get into a space and I think, I'd love to just sit here for the next hour. This is great. I don't care about anyone else, but I sort of look around the room and I say, oh, people are a bit fiddly. They're not settling in, So, okay, let's do it. Let's just do this stuff and let's just all move into this nice space together,
What kind of visualizations would you suggest people start with if they were going to try to do something and get out of their monkey mind?
Well, I really think that doing these simple stretches where you lift your arms up and in rhythm with your breath, and just expand your lungs and your chest, something as simple as that, just to bring you into awareness of the breath. And then, if your visualization often might just be closing your eyes and imagining yourself someplace very tranquil. You're beside the ocean or on a hill, and you're looking out in a great distance. You're in a forest, and you're just imagining yourself being in this place. But then, visualizations I leave, we usually let that drift away, and we imagine we're surrounded by a vast ocean of sort of this loving energy, of consciousness, and that
Nice.
Your breath is just a matter of sort of communing with that presence.
And the idea of a group is also very powerful, not just for support, but the energy of the group and lifting
Absolutely.
the vibration of everybody in that group.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember something that my meditation teacher told me, the monk that taught me. He said, most of the thoughts that go through your mind are not yours. Just they're coming through from the environment and the people around you, and you've got to learn to sort of let them go, not all yours, if you get a group of people, we don't all realize quite how psychic we are, it's always happening to us, but if you get a group of people sitting around and they're sort of moving into coherence, they're singing together, they're breathing together, and then they're sitting in silence together, they're all bringing in these subtle feelings, it generates its own wave of energy, of uplifting energy,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I've definitely felt that. And then there's the times by myself where I'm like, oh, when will the time be up? I mean, I'm still trying, but
yeah. Well, I sometimes see people say, "Oh, you've been meditating for a long time." It says, Yeah, I'm still not enlightened yet. I'm still at it. I don't know if that's discouraging or encouraging, but I'm still going at it, But occasionally you get these glimpses. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if people wanted to find out more about you, what's the best way of contacting you?
Oh, I meant to have a little sign to hold up. I forgot.
I'll post stuff on the video
All
as
right,
well at the
Ottawa
bottom.
Meditation at gmail.com. Ottawa Meditation. But I think the website, you can get to it by saying automeditation.ca or Cosmic Mindfulness, which is this name I appended to it. And then we've got a Facebook presence, and we've got the class series I've been doing. We've called it Heart Space Meditation, class every week. And you're going to post something so that people can link to that. And I don't know if it'll come out in time, but I'm this sort of collective of meditation teachers and so on that I'm part of, which is the Ananda Seva mission worldwide, but a lot of us in North America, doing this 7-hour event on the weekend with all different classes and laughing yoga and some talks on spiritual humanism and how the world's going to evolve with all of us, being more compassionate and wanting to look after everyone's needs in the future and have a more healthy society based on true compassion, and
I
how we can
think,
organize ourselves around that. Anyway, we'll talk about
yeah,
all these.
yeah, I think it's so important right now. It's not just what happened during the self-isolation. It's coming out of it and knowing how to cope and 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 not just cope but thrive, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges at an individual level and a collective level, but because we're all, trying to manage our own personal well-being and health and so on in these circumstances, because we're all social beings to some extent. All of us are. But also it's really bringing home the realization that we have to organize ourselves as a society around meeting everyone's needs and creating a society in which everyone can thrive, instead of organizing society around the principles of anyone's allowed to accumulate wealth. I mean, that's a bit of an ass backwards way of organizing society. Let's think about how we organize ourselves to meet everyone's needs.
Clearly, it hasn't been working that well either.
That's been working that well, and who knows? Maybe there's going to be other challenges which our society is going to be facing, and the world is going to be facing. These things are going to bring us together across national boundaries. We're going to have to think of new ways of doing things, and I'm very into that. And that's a whole group of people that I connect with are thinking about these ideas. Lots of people are thinking about these ideas, but we're going to be forced to deal with them
Yes.
as society deals with various challenges. So we're seeing the problems with the way things are set up now, and there's a chance to grow and change.
Well, I look forward to continuing this conversation sometime in the near future, maybe after
Great.
your weekend when the whole world is tuned in to the
Okay.
same frequency and energy. There's
All
my
right.
positive input for you.
I mean, there's lots of world meditation events and days happening all over. I mean, just get so excited to see these things happening all
Oh
over the
yeah,
place.
for sure.
Mhm.
All right, well, I'll make sure to post the link to Saturday's event
Yeah.
and of course your
Thursday's
information.
classes. Yeah.
Yes, and they are online for now, but hopefully we'll be back to seeing one another face to face before
Yeah.
too long, because I
Yeah.
think that's really
Nice to do
important.
classes in at Planet Botanics. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much for talking to me, Chris.
Thanks, Heather. Take
Talk
care.
to you soon. Bye.